I'm Grace Randolph, and I'll be discussing the third question on the prompt, which is homosexual conduct wrong? And should marriage be between just a man and a woman? To start out with, I'm arguing that homosexual conduct is not wrong, and marriage should not just be between a man and a woman. I'll be using utilitarianism as an ethical theory to argue my point, and I'll be using three authors, Benatar, Kramer, and Friedman, and a counterclaim by George and Lee. To start out with, Benatar does say in his paper that there is a lot more gay bashing by coming from others, and he does state that it's more towards the male, and that also homosexual conduct is criminalized in the sense that it's wrong, and we're more likely to consider that kind of sex as bad rather than heterosex considered good by society. But the reason why we make it wrong is because society says it's wrong, and it's a societal norm to hate on gays and lesbians in the LGBT community. Every day someone in the LGBT community is hurt or is made fun of, and it's just because of society saying so. And it doesn't make it wrong to be in the LGBT community or to find someone attractive and want to be with that person because it's not of societal norms, because that's what we make society think that it's normal. Media does this, criminalizes homosexuality, and so with that, we look towards the media as a way and an outlet of viewing homosexuality as bad. And even though more and more nowadays it's becoming less bad, it's still not considered normal or good. To continue, Kramer argues that marriage is not for just a male and a male and a female, or a man and a woman. It is because it's stated that marriage is to procreate. The reason why we should be married is for the only reasons, for biological reasons, as in to procreate and continue on, and that's the only reason why we should be married according to Joseph and Lee. However, you can still have children and procreate and not be married. And so what Joseph and Lee says is that a man and a man or a female cannot procreate and have children, therefore they should not be able to get married. But Kramer goes on to say that you can still be married, or you can still not be married and have children. So the idea or the argument that only reason you get married is to have children, is not it. It doesn't fall under biologically acceptable or arguable, because Joseph and Lee also argue that you should only be having sex in order to have children, and gay sex or that kind of sex is not considered of the ability to procreate, so you shouldn't even be having homosexual conduct in that sense. But in one of their statements, they say that even if you're sterile and you try to have children and you know that you're sterile, it's okay to be married and be sterile, and as long as you're attempting and going through the motions of wanting to have a child, it's considered okay. Well, if you look at it from a perspective of if a female and another female are considered sterile by the definition of you're unable to have a child, and they're married and they continue to have sex and for procreation, even though they can't procreate because they are sterile, could that not be considered okay? And that's what I'm arguing, is that George and Lee argue that as long as, even if you're sterile and as long as you're trying to have children or trying to procreate, it's okay. Or you can do in vitro and try to have children, it's okay, because you're biologically trying and attempting. Then why can't you say that two men are biologically trying to procreate and attempting to procreate, though they can't because they're sterile in the sense, then it's okay for them to be married and to continue the homosexual conduct. Also, with Friedman, she says that in a marriage, all humans want is happiness and equality and the ability to move forward and advance in life. And being married to a man or a woman, or a man and a man, or a woman and a woman, as long as you're advancing in society and being productive, then there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to have a marriage between a man and a woman, or a woman and a woman. Finally, the argument of using the ethical theory utilitarianism, which is to maximize happiness and reduce suffering. If the government was to allow equality in marriage, meaning that anyone can marry whomever they want, as long as it's consensual, then it would be, under utilitarianism, it would be maximizing happiness and reducing suffering, because those who can't get married are not only unable to receive the social acceptance of being married to the one that they love, but they're also unable to receive the benefits through the government. As in, if a gay man and his husband died, or not his husband, but because he can't get married, but if his partner died, then he would be unable to receive the benefits of his will, or the money left over, or his property. He would be unable to make decisions if the husband or partner was in the hospital and needed decisions to be made, because he is not legally bound to him. They're losing economic gain, and they're losing the ability to receive benefits that the government only gives to those who are married. And that's not just restricting gays and lesbians and that group, but it's also restricting those who are straight and they're not married. And that institution is unfair overall. So by using the ethical theory of utilitarianism and arguing that equal marriage and the ability to receive benefits would help everyone. And finally, George and Lee argued that if I was to not accept their argument saying that marriage and sex is to only procreate, then I would be accepting incest and bestiality and pedophilia and other sorts. I would be accepting that, but I'm not, because those can be considered unconsensual, in the sense that by me accepting marriage between a man and a woman, a man and a man, and a woman and a woman, I'm saying that everyone is equal and we're not all having our rights restricted. Because the government right now is still restricting the rights of straight people, because they're still not allowed to be married. Even if they're straight, their rights are still being restricted. Also, it's unconsensual for a child when it comes to pedophilia. It's inconsensual for an animal, and bestiality, and it is harmful for incest, and it would not advance society. My argument is I want to advance society and maximize happiness for everyone, and by allowing any of those three, it would actually disadvantage society and it would hurt others, and that's not what I'm arguing. I'm arguing to help others, and allowing marriage between a man and a man, or a woman and a woman, and not just a man and a woman, advances society and helps them. Thank you.